You rich men are all the same, powerful suits, empty promises, and not one of you knows how to truly satisfy a woman. The words sliced through Manhattan's most exclusive rooftop lounge like a blade through silk. Harper Blake didn't expect anyone to care about her cynical observation. But when those words reached Adrian Moretti, a man who controlled the city's darkest corners without ever raising his voice, everything changed. His response was quiet, dangerous, and completely unexpected. "Want to bet?" What started as a careless challenge became a game neither could win, a game that would cost them everything. If you're ready to see how far this dangerous obsession goes, stay until the end, and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. The Meridian Lounge occupied the 63rd floor of a building that probably cost more than most people would earn in 10 lifetimes. Harper Blake had been there exactly 3 times, always as someone's plus one, never because she belonged. Tonight was her friend Vanessa's birthday, which meant expensive champagne Harper couldn't afford, and conversations with people who thought their bank accounts made them interesting. She stood near the floor-to-ceiling windows, Manhattan glittering below like scattered diamonds on black velvet. The view was stunning. The company was not. "You look bored." Vanessa appeared beside her, already tipsy, her designer dress probably worth more than Harper's monthly rent. "I'm not bored. I'm observing." "That's fancy talk for judging everyone," Vanessa grinned. "Come on, there's someone I want you to meet. He's loaded, recently divorced, and apparently very interested in—" "No," Harper cut her off. "I didn't come here to be set up with another one of your rich, emotionally unavailable friends." "You're impossible," Vanessa sighed dramatically. "What's wrong with successful men?" Harper took a long sip of her champagne, the good stuff, she had to admit, and let her gaze drift across the room. Expensive suits, expensive watches, expensive egos. "You really want to know?" "I have a feeling you're going to tell me anyway." "They're predictable." Harper's voice carried more edge than she intended. "They think money equals personality. They think power equals passion, and not one of them actually knows how to—" She stopped herself, but Vanessa's eyes lit up. "Finish that sentence." "Forget it." "No, no, no. You were about to say something scandalous. I can feel it." Vanessa grabbed her arm. "Say it." Harper shouldn't have. She knew she shouldn't have. But the champagne was good, the view was spectacular, and she was tired of pretending these people impressed her. "Fine. You rich men." She raised her voice just enough to catch the attention of a nearby group. "Are all the same, powerful suits, empty promises, and not one of you knows how to truly satisfy a woman." Several heads turned. A few men looked offended. One laughed nervously. Vanessa's eyes went wide with a mixture of horror and delight. "Harper, Jesus." "What?" "It's true." Harper felt a reckless energy building in her chest. They talk big, they spend big, but when it actually matters, they're lost. All that money, all that power, and they still can't figure out what a woman actually wants. "You're going to get us thrown out." Vanessa was laughing now, half covering her face. "For telling the truth?" "Please." That's when Harper felt it, a shift in the room's energy, subtle but unmistakable, like the air pressure changing before a storm. A man stood near the bar watching her, not staring, not leering, watching. His expression gave away nothing, but his attention felt like a physical weight. Dark hair, sharp jaw, a suit that fit too perfectly to be off the rack. He wasn't the loudest person in the room or the flashiest. But somehow, when Harper's eyes met his, everyone else seemed to fade into background noise. He said something to the man beside him, short, quiet, then started walking toward her. "Oh no." Vanessa's voice dropped to a whisper. "Harper, do you know who that is?" "Should I?" "That's Adrian Moretti." The name meant nothing to Harper. "And?" "And he's fast." Vanessa struggled for words. "He's not someone you joke about. He's not someone you challenge. He's—" But Adrian Moretti was already standing in front of them, close enough that Harper caught the scent of expensive cologne and something darker, something that didn't come from a bottle. "Ladies?" His voice was low, controlled, the kind of voice that didn't need volume to command attention. "I couldn't help but overhear your observation." Up close, he was even more unsettling. Not because he was threatening, he wasn't, not obviously, but because he looked at Harper like he could see straight through every defense she'd ever built. Then you should work on your eavesdropping skills. Harper kept her voice steady. That was a private conversation. In a public space. At volume. His lips curved slightly. Not quite a smile. You made some interesting claims. I made accurate claims. Did you? He tilted his head slightly, studying her. And you base this on what? Personal experience? Statistical analysis? Or just assumptions about people you've never actually known? Vanessa grabbed Harper's arm, her nails digging in slightly. A warning. Harper ignored it. I base it on pattern recognition. Men like you. Men like me. He repeated the words like he was tasting them. Tell me, what do you know about men like me? Enough. Harper met his eyes directly. You think money solves everything. You think control equals connection. And you've probably never had to work for anything that actually matters because people just give it to you out of fear or obligation. The words hung in the air between them. Vanessa had stopped breathing. Several people nearby had stopped talking. The whole interaction felt like watching someone defuse a bomb or accidentally trigger one. Adrian Moretti's expression didn't change. He simply looked at Harper with those unreadable dark eyes and said, very quietly, "Want to bet?" 2 words. That's all it took. Harper felt something shift in her chest, part warning, part curiosity, part something she didn't want to name. Bet on what? On whether you're right, about men like me. He said it so calmly, like they were discussing the weather. You seem very confident in your assessment. I'm offering you a chance to prove it. This is insane, Vanessa finally found her voice. Harper, we should... How would that even work? Harper cut her off, her eyes still locked on Adrian's. You can't just bet on something like that. Why not? He leaned in slightly, just enough that his next words were meant only for her. Unless you're worried you might be wrong. I'm not wrong. Then prove it. This is ridiculous. I don't even know you. No, you don't. Something flickered in his expression, amusement maybe, or challenge. But you've already decided who I am, so let's test your theory. Give me 1 week. 1 week to what? To prove you wrong. He said it simply, like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. 7 days. If at the end of it you still believe what you said tonight, that men like me can't satisfy a woman, that we're all empty promises and expensive facades, I'll concede. You win. But if you prove otherwise, what? Then you admit you were wrong. His voice dropped lower. Publicly. Harper laughed. She couldn't help it. You're serious? Completely. This is the most egotistical thing I've ever heard. Is it? Or is it just matching your energy? He straightened, his expression neutral again. You made a bold statement. I'm giving you a chance to back it up. Unless you'd rather just throw accusations around without any actual conviction behind them. Vanessa tugged at Harper's arm again, harder this time. Harper, don't. But Harper felt that reckless energy building again, stronger now. Who the hell did this guy think he was? Walking over here with his perfect suit and his quiet arrogance, acting like he could just... What? Seduce her into admitting she was wrong? Change her entire worldview in a week? Fine. The word came out before she could stop it. 1 week. Harper, Vanessa's voice pitched up. What's your name? Adrian asked, ignoring Vanessa completely. Harper Blake. Harper. He said her name like he was memorizing it. I'll need your number. Absolutely not. Then how do you expect this to work? You're the one who proposed this insane bet. You figure it out. Harper grabbed Vanessa's hand and started to walk away, then stopped and looked back. But just so we're clear, you're going to lose. Because I'm right about men like you. I'm always right about men like you. She didn't wait for his response. She pulled Vanessa toward the exit, her heart hammering in her chest, her mind already second-guessing everything that just happened. Are you completely out of your mind? Vanessa hissed as they waited for the elevator. Do you have any idea who that was? You said his name. It didn't ring any bells. Because you don't pay attention to anything that doesn't directly involve you. Vanessa jabbed the elevator button repeatedly. Adrian Moretti runs half this city. not the legal half. And you just, what was that? Did you seriously just accept a bet with him? It's not a real bet. He's just some rich guy with an ego problem. He's not just some rich guy, Harper. He's... Vanessa lowered her voice as the elevator arrived. People don't say no to him. People don't challenge him. And they definitely don't mock him in public and then walk away. Well, I just did, and I'll do it again in a week when I'm proven right. They stepped into the elevator. As the doors began to close, Harper caught one last glimpse of the lounge. Adrian Moretti stood exactly where she'd left him, watching her. Even from across the room, even through closing elevator doors, she felt the weight of his attention. Then the doors shut, and they were descending, and Harper tried to ignore the uncomfortable feeling that she'd just made either the best or worst decision of her life. Harper's apartment was a cramped studio in Brooklyn that cost more than it should and offered less than it promised. But it was hers, and after the chaos of the Meridian, it felt like a sanctuary. She kicked off her heels, peeled off the dress she'd borrowed from Vanessa, and collapsed onto her bed in her underwear. Her phone buzzed. Vanessa, probably, with more warnings about Adrian Moretti and how Harper was going to end up at the bottom of the Hudson River. But when she checked, it wasn't Vanessa. Unknown. Number. You never gave me your address. Up. Harper stared at the screen, then typed back. How did you get this number? Unknown number. I told you. I run half this city. Harper. Creepy. Also illegal. Unknown number. Says the woman who just agreed to let me prove her wrong. Harper. I didn't agree to anything except a stupid bet. Unknown number. And yet, here we are, talking. Harper should have blocked the number. Should have deleted it and forgotten this whole ridiculous night. Instead, she found herself typing, here's the thing. I don't do whatever this is. I'm not interested in games or power plays or rich men who think they can buy their way into my life. Unknown number. Good. Neither am I. Harper. Then what do you want? The response took longer this time. Long enough that Harper almost put the phone down. Then, unknown number, to prove you wrong. Sleep well, Harper Blake. She did block the number after that, but she didn't sleep well. She lay awake, staring at her ceiling, replaying the entire interaction in her mind. His voice, his eyes, the way he'd looked at her like she was a puzzle he'd already solved. Want to bet? 2 words. That's all it had taken to completely derail her night. The next morning, Harper woke to pounding on her door. She stumbled out of bed, pulled on a robe, and peered through the peephole. A man in a black suit stood in her hallway. Professional. Expressionless. Definitely not someone who lived in this building. Who is it? Harper called through the door. Miss Blake, I'm here on behalf of Mr. Moretti. Harper yanked the door open. Are you serious right now? The man didn't react to her anger. Mr. Moretti has arranged a car for you this morning. I'm here to escort you. A car to where? To your workplace. He consulted a small tablet. The Wren Gallery in Chelsea. Your shift begins at 9. How do you... Harper stopped herself. I run half this city. Tell Mr. Moretti I don't need a car. I don't need an escort, and I definitely don't need him knowing my work schedule. I'm afraid Mr. Moretti insisted. And I'm insisting he can take his car and... Harper. The man's voice remained calm, professional. The car is waiting downstairs. You can accept the ride, or you can refuse it. Either way, I'm instructed to ensure you arrive safely. That sounds like a threat. It's not. It's a courtesy. Courtesy would be leaving me alone. The man simply waited, patient, immovable. Harper slammed the door, got ready in record time, and stormed downstairs to find a sleek black Mercedes idling at the curb. The driver opened the door. She wanted to refuse, wanted to walk to the subway out of pure spite, but something stopped her. Curiosity, maybe. Or the uncomfortable realization that Adrian Moretti had just inserted himself into her life without asking permission, and she needed to understand what that meant. She got in the car. The ride to the gallery was smooth, silent, and surreal. The driver didn't speak. The car smelled like leather and money. When they arrived, he opened her door and said, "Have a good day, Miss Blake." Then he was gone, and Harper was standing outside the Wren Gallery, feeling like she'd just experienced something she couldn't quite name. Her boss, Marcus, was already inside, arranging sculptures for the new exhibit. "You're early." He glanced up, surprised. "And you look disturbed." "I'm fine." Harper dropped her bag behind the reception desk. "Just a weird morning. Want to talk about it?" "Not even a little." She threw herself into work, losing herself in the familiar routine of greeting visitors, answering questions about the art, pretending her life was normal. But every time her phone buzzed, her heart jumped. Lunchtime arrived with another surprise, a delivery from an upscale restaurant she'd never heard of, the kind of place that probably required reservations months in advance. "Someone's got an admirer." Marcus waggled his eyebrows. "Who's the mystery man?" Harper stared at the food, gourmet salads, fresh bread, dessert that looked like edible art. "No one. Just a mistake." But there was a card. "You have to eat." She should have thrown it away. Instead, she ate the salad. It was annoyingly the best salad she'd ever had. The pattern continued for 3 days. A car in the morning, lunch delivered at noon, and every evening, when she left work, the same car waiting to drive her home. No messages beyond the card, no demands, no contact, just this persistent, unavoidable presence in her daily life. On the 4th day, Harper's patience snapped. She texted the number she'd blocked. "Stop." The response came immediately. "Stop what?" Harper. "The cars, the food, the surveillance, all of it." Adrian. "I'm proving you wrong." Harper. "By stalking me?" Adrian. "By taking care of you." Harper. "I don't need to be taken care of." Adrian. "Everyone needs to be taken care of sometimes." Harper. "Not by you." Adrian. "Why not?" Harper. "Because this isn't what we agreed to. This is control. This is you inserting yourself into my life without permission." Adrian. "You gave me permission. 1 week, remember?" Harper. "To prove you're not emotionally unavailable, not to become my shadow." Adrian. "Maybe they're the same thing." Harper threw her phone across the room. It hit the wall but didn't break. When she retrieved it, there was another message. Adrian. "Dinner tonight, 8 p.m. I'll send details." Harper. "No." Adrian. "Yes." Harper. "This isn't how consent works." Adrian. "Then tell me to stop. Really tell me." "And I will." Harper stared at those words for a long time. He was giving her an out, a real one. All she had to do was say the word, and this would end. The cars, the food, the attention, all of it would disappear, and she could go back to her normal life. She should say it. She should end this now. Instead, she typed, "Where?" Adrian. "My place. I'll cook." Harper. "You cook?" Adrian. "I do a lot of things you don't expect." Harper. "This is a bad idea." Adrian. "Probably. Car will pick you up at 7:30. Harper wanted to argue, wanted to refuse, but something stopped her. That same reckless curiosity that had gotten her into this mess in the first place. Fine. She'd go to dinner, she'd let him cook, and then she'd prove once and for all that she was right about men like him. She spent the rest of the day convincing herself this was about winning the bet, not about the uncomfortable flutter in her chest every time her phone buzzed. The car arrived at 7:30 exactly. Harper had changed 3 times before settling on jeans and a simple black top, casual enough to say she didn't care, fitted enough to show she wasn't trying to hide. The driver took her into Manhattan, through neighborhoods that got progressively more expensive, until they pulled up to a building that made the Meridian look modest. "This is where he lives?" Harper asked. The driver simply opened her door. The elevator required a key card. It opened directly into a penthouse that shouldn't have existed outside of architectural magazines. Floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture, art that was probably worth more than Harper's entire life. And there, in the open kitchen, was Adrian Moretti, wearing dark jeans and a white button-down with the sleeves rolled up, focused on something on the stove. He looked up when she entered. "You came. Did you think I wouldn't?" "I wasn't sure." He gestured to a bar stool at the kitchen island. "Sit. Wine?" "What are you making?" "Risotto. And before you ask, yes, I'm actually cooking it. No chef hiding in the back room." Harper sat, accepted the wine glass he offered, and watched him move around the kitchen with practiced ease. It was unsettling. He didn't cook like someone who'd learned it for show. He cooked like someone who actually enjoyed it. "This doesn't prove anything," she said. "I'm not trying to prove anything yet. I'm just making dinner." He added something to the pot, stirred, tasted. "How was your day?" "Weird, because someone keeps sending cars and food to my workplace." "You could have refused them." "I tried. Your driver is very persistent. I hire good people." Adrian glanced at her. "Are you uncomfortable?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because this whole thing is insane. I don't know you. You don't know me. And yet you're cooking me dinner in your absurdly expensive apartment like this is normal." "What's normal?" He plated the risotto, added something green and delicate on top, then set it in front of her. "Try it." She did. It was, of course, perfect, rich, creamy, with just the right amount of bite. She hated that it was perfect. "It's good," she admitted. "Just good?" "Fine, it's amazing. Happy?" He smiled, an actual smile this time, not the half curve from before. Getting there. They ate in relative silence, but it wasn't uncomfortable. Harper kept waiting for him to say something aggressive or controlling to prove her right about who he was. But he just ate dinner, asked her about the gallery, listened when she talked about the artists they represented, didn't interrupt, didn't dismiss, didn't try to one-up her stories with his own. It was confusing. After dinner, they moved to the living room. Manhattan glittered below them, the same view she'd seen from the Meridian, but somehow more intimate from here. "Can I ask you something?" Harper curled up on the corner of his couch, wine glass in hand. "Of course. Why are you doing this? Really?" Adrian sat in a chair across from her, his own glass balanced on the armrest. "You insulted me." "I insulted rich men generally. I took it personally." He studied her over the rim of his glass. "Nobody talks to me like that." "Maybe they should." "Maybe." He set down his glass. "Or maybe I wanted to see if you were as interesting up close as you seemed from across a room." "And?" "You are." He said it simply, like stating a fact. "You're sharp, defensive. You don't trust easily. And you've convinced yourself that people like me are incapable of genuine connection because it's easier than admitting you might be wrong." "That's a bold assumption." "Is it wrong?" Harper didn't answer, couldn't answer. Because he'd just articulated something she'd never said out loud, something she barely admitted to herself. "I've been wrong about people before," she said finally. "It didn't end well." "So you decided all men with money must be the same." "I decided that power corrupts, that wealth creates distance, that people who never have to work for connection don't know how to build it." She met his eyes. "Prove me wrong. Actually prove me wrong, not just by sending cars and cooking dinner." "How would I do that?" "I don't know. That's your job to figure out." Adrian stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city below. Harper Blake, 26 years old, works at the Wren Gallery for barely above minimum wage despite having a degree in art history. Lives in Brooklyn in an apartment that costs too much, doesn't have family in the city, keeps people at arm's length, and walked into that lounge last week looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. Harper's blood went cold. "How do you know all that?" "I told you, I run half this city." He turned to face her. "And before you accused me of invasion of privacy, you challenged me. You agreed to this bet. So yes, I learned about you. Because that's what you do when you actually care about proving someone wrong." "You don't care, you're just..." "Just what?" His voice sharpened slightly. "Just ego? Just control? You keep assigning motives to me based on assumptions, Harper. When are you going to actually look at what I'm doing instead of what you think I'm doing? You're stalking me." "I'm paying attention to you. There's a difference." "Is there?" "Yes." He moved closer, not threatening, just present. "Stalking is about control. This is about understanding. I want to know who you are, what you need, what makes you laugh, what makes you defensive, what keeps you awake at night. Because you're right about one thing. Most men like me don't bother." "We don't have to, but I'm not most men." Harper stood, needing distance. "This was a mistake. I should go." "Why?" "Because I came here to prove you wrong, and instead you're..." She stopped herself. "I'm what?" "Making me doubt myself." She grabbed her bag. And I hate doubting myself. Harper. He didn't move to stop her, didn't try to block her path, just said her name. The bet was 1 week. We're only on day 4. The bet was stupid. Then why are you scared? I'm not scared. You are. He said it gently. You're scared because this isn't going how you expected. Because I'm not who you expected. And that's threatening to the entire worldview you've built. She wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him he was wrong, that he was exactly who she thought he was. But standing in his apartment, full of his food, she couldn't quite make the words come out. 3 more days, Adrian said. That's all I'm asking. If at the end of it you still think I'm just another empty suit, I'll leave you alone. You'll never hear from me again. Promise? I promise. Harper shouldn't have agreed. She knew she shouldn't have. But she heard herself say, 3 more days, then this ends. Then this ends, he repeated. The car drove her home in silence. When she got to her apartment, she found a single text on her phone. Adrian, thank you for tonight. That was all. No demands, no presumption, just gratitude. Harper fell asleep confused, annoyed, and uncomfortably aware that Adrian Moretti was not at all who she'd expected him to be. And that terrified her more than anything. The 5th day started with another car, but this time Harper was expecting it. She'd stopped fighting the routine, though she wasn't ready to admit that maybe she'd started looking forward to it. The driver, his name was Thomas, she'd learned, gave her a small nod as she climbed into the back seat. Morning, Ms. Blake. Morning. She settled in, coffee in hand, and checked her phone. No message from Adrian. That was unusual. For the past 4 days, he'd sent something. Nothing intrusive, just small observations or questions that made her think. Today, silence. She told herself she wasn't disappointed. The gallery was quiet when she arrived. Marcus was out meeting with a potential client, which meant Harper had the space to herself. She loved these mornings, just her and the art, the silence broken only by the occasional visitor wandering in off the street. Around 11, the door chimed. Harper looked up from her laptop and felt her stomach drop. The man who walked in wasn't Adrian. He was older, maybe mid-50s, with silver hair and a suit that probably cost more than her car, if she'd owned a car. But it was the way he moved that set off alarm bells. Deliberate, assessing. Like he was cataloging everything in the room, including her. Can I help you? Harper kept her voice professional, friendly. I'm looking for something specific. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Perhaps you can assist me. Of course. What kind of piece are you interested in? Not a piece. He moved closer to the desk. Information. About a mutual acquaintance. Harper's pulse kicked up. I'm not sure what you mean. Adrian Moretti. The name landed between them like a stone. I understand you've been spending time with him. Every instinct Harper had screamed at her to lie, to play dumb, to get this man out of the gallery as quickly as possible. But something in his expression told her he already knew the answers to whatever he was about to ask. I don't know anyone by that name. The lie felt thin, even as she said it. The man laughed, a dry, humorless sound. Ms. Blake, Harper. Can I call you Harper? He didn't wait for permission. I'm going to be direct with you because I think you're smart enough to appreciate directness. You've gotten involved with someone dangerous, someone who has enemies, and those enemies have noticed you. I think you should leave. I think you should listen. He leaned against the desk, too casual, too comfortable. Adrian Moretti is not a good man. Oh, he can be charming, I'm sure, attentive, but he's built his empire on violence and fear. And now, by associating with him, you've painted a target on your back. Harper's mouth went dry. Who are you? Someone who wants to help you. He pulled out a business card, set it on the desk. No name, just a phone number. When things get dangerous, and they will, call me. I can offer protection that Adrian can't. Get out! You don't believe me. That's understandable. He pushed off the desk, straightened his jacket. But when you find yourself looking over your shoulder, when you start noticing the same car following you home, when you realize that Adrian's world is darker than you imagined, you'll remember this conversation, and you'll call. He walked to the door, paused with his hand on the handle. One more thing, ask Adrian about Marcus Webb, about what happened 5 years ago. Ask him why Marcus doesn't run his gallery in Manhattan anymore." Then he was gone, and Harper was alone with her racing heart and a business card she wanted to throw away but couldn't quite bring herself to touch. She grabbed her phone, typed out a message to Adrian. "Someone just came to my work asking about you." "Who the hell is Marcus Webb?" The response came within seconds. "Where are you?" Harper. "At the gallery." "Who is Marcus Webb?" Adrian. "Stay there. I'm sending someone." Harper. "I don't need someone. I need answers." Adrian. "You'll get them. Just stay put." Harper wanted to argue, wanted to demand he tell her what was going on, but the door chimed again and Thomas walked in, his usually neutral expression tight with concern. "Ms. Blake, Mr. Moretti asked me to bring you somewhere safe." "Safe from what?" "Please, we should go." "Thomas, I'm not leaving until someone tells me what the hell is happening." Her phone rang. "Adrian," she answered. "Start talking." "Not over the phone." His voice was clipped, controlled in a way that made her stomach knot. "Thomas will bring you to me. We'll talk then." "Who is Marcus Webb?" Silence. Long enough that Harper thought the call had dropped. "Adrian?" "Someone from my past." His voice had gone cold. "Someone who should have stayed there." "The man who came to the gallery? Described himself as helpful? Offered protection?" Adrian cut her off. "His name is Morgan, and he's lying." "How do you know what he said?" "Because I know how he operates." "Harper, please. Trust me enough to get in the car." She should have said no. Should have demanded answers right there, in public, where she felt safe. But something in Adrian's voice, fear, maybe, or something close to it, made her grab her bag. "Fine, but you better have a damn good explanation." The drive took them to a different building, this one in Soho, less ostentatious than Adrian's penthouse, but clearly expensive. Thomas led her to a private elevator, used a key card, and moments later she was stepping into a space that looked like equal parts office and fortress. Adrian was on the phone when she entered, his back to the windows, his voice low and sharp. He looked different. Not the man who'd cooked her dinner, but something harder, more dangerous. He ended the call when he saw her. "You're okay." "I'm confused and getting angry." Harper dropped her bag on a chair. "Start from the beginning. Who is Marcus Webb? Who is Morgan? And why did some stranger just threaten me in my own workplace?" "He threatened you?" "He said I'd painted a target on my back. That your enemies have noticed me." She crossed her arms. "So I'm going to ask again. What the hell is going on?" Adrian moved to a bar cart, poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handed her one. She didn't drink it. "Marcus Webb was a problem 5 years ago." Adrian's voice was measured, careful. "He ran guns through the ports, used legitimate businesses as fronts. One of those businesses was an art gallery in Manhattan." Harper's chest tightened. "My Marcus? My boss Marcus?" "Yes." "That's insane. He's harmless. He talks about Rothko and sculptural theory. He doesn't run guns." "He doesn't anymore." Adrian finally met her eyes. "Because I stopped him. I gave him a choice. Get out of the business, move to a smaller gallery, live quietly. Or don't live at all." The words hit her like cold water. "You threatened to kill him." "I gave him options. He chose wisely." Jesus Christ. Harper set down the untouched whiskey. You're exactly what I said you were. What I thought you were. I'm not going to apologize for doing what was necessary." "Necessary?" Her voice pitched up. "You threatened someone's life, and you think that's just... what, business?" "It's survival." Adrian's voice hardened. Marcus was moving weapons that ended up in the hands of people who used them on civilians. On kids. "So yes, I stopped him, and I'd do it again." Harper felt dizzy. This was too much, too fast. The man who'd cooked her dinner, who'd asked about her day, who'd sent her food and made sure she got home safe, that man was the same one who'd threatened to kill her boss. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because it wasn't relevant. Not until Morgan decided to make it relevant." "Who is he? Why does he care about me?" Adrian hesitated. For the first time since she'd known him, he looked uncertain. "Morgan runs the territory south of here. We have an understanding. I don't interfere with his operations. He doesn't interfere with mine. But he's been looking for leverage, a way to expand without direct confrontation. And I'm leverage. You're visible. You've been seen with me. In his mind, that makes you valuable. Harper laughed, but there was no humor in it. So your bet, your whole prove you wrong thing, it's made me a target. No. Adrian moved toward her. You became visible the moment you challenged me at the Meridian. There were too many people there, too many witnesses. Even if I'd walked away that night, Morgan would have noticed you. That's a convenient excuse. It's the truth. So what now? Harper felt exhausted suddenly, bone-deep tired. What am I supposed to do? Hide? Run? You let me protect you. Like you protected Marcus? The words came out harsher than she intended. By threatening his life until he did what you wanted? Adrian's jaw tightened. That's not fair. Isn't it? You said it yourself. You're not going to apologize. So why should I trust that your protection isn't just another form of control? Because I'm telling you the truth. Finally. Completely. He stepped closer. Yes, I've done terrible things. Yes, I've hurt people who stood in my way. But I've never lied to you, Harper. Not once. Everything I've done this week, the cars, the attention, the dinner, that was real. Real doesn't mean good. No, it doesn't. He stopped just within arm's reach. But it's what I'm offering. Protection, safety. And yes, before you say it, my company, my world, all of it. Because the alternative is letting Morgan use you to get to me, and I won't allow that. Harper wanted to walk out, wanted to tell him to take his protection and his dangerous world and leave her alone. But the memory of Morgan's cold smile, his casual threats, stopped her. How long? She asked quietly. How long what? How long would I need protection? Adrian's expression darkened. Until Morgan is no longer a problem. And how does he stop being a problem? You don't want to know the answer to that. Yes, I do. If I'm going to trust you, if I'm going to let you into my life like this, I need to know what that means. So tell me, how does Morgan stop being a problem? Adrian held her gaze. I make him understand that you're not worth the risk. How? By showing strength, by making it clear that any move against you is a move against me, and by ensuring he knows I'll respond with overwhelming force if necessary. You're talking about war. I'm talking about deterrence. There's a difference. Harper sank into a chair. Her legs felt weak. This is insane. My life was normal 5 days ago. I went to work, I came home, I complained about rich men at parties, and now I'm what? Caught in some mob war because I made a stupid joke? It wasn't stupid. Adrian crouched in front of her chair, bringing himself to eye level. It was brave and sharp, and it's what made me notice you in the first place. I wish you hadn't noticed me. Do you really? She wanted to say yes, wanted to mean it, but when she looked at him, really looked at him, not at the dangerous world he represented, but at the man who'd cooked her dinner and asked about her day, she wasn't sure anymore. I don't know what I want, she admitted. That's fair. He stood. But right now, what you want doesn't matter as much as what you need. And you need to be somewhere Morgan can't reach you. Where? Here. With me. Until this is resolved. Harper's head snapped up. You want me to move in with you? Temporarily, yes. That's no, absolutely not. Harper. I'm not moving in with you, Adrian. I barely know you. And what I do know is that you threaten people for a living. I protect people for a living. There's a difference. Is there? She echoed his words from their dinner. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like control either way. Adrian's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his expression shifting from frustrated to something colder. What? Harper asked. Thomas just sent surveillance from your building. Morgan's people were there an hour ago. Ice flooded Harper's veins. At my apartment? They didn't go in, just watched, took pictures. He looked at her. This isn't a game anymore, Harper. If it ever was. You're not safe at home. You're not safe at work. The only place you're safe is with me. Because you're so trustworthy. No, because I'm more dangerous than they are. He said it simply, like stating a fact. And because I've decided you're worth protecting, whether you believe me or not. Harper's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Hello? Harper Blake. Morgan's voice, smooth and cold. I hope Adrian explained the situation to you. Her hand tightened on the phone. Adrian moved closer, concerned. How did you get this number? The same way Adrian got it, I imagine. We have similar resources. A pause. I want you to know something. I'm not your enemy. Adrian is dangerous, Harper. He's violent and unpredictable. But I can offer you protection, real protection. All you have to do is walk away from him. Why do you care? Because you're leverage, and I'd rather use that leverage through cooperation than force. His voice dropped. Think about it. You're a good person caught up in a bad situation. You don't belong in Adrian's world, so walk away. Come to me, and I promise you'll be safe. And if I don't, then you've made your choice, and choices have consequences. The line went dead. Harper lowered the phone slowly. Adrian was watching her, his expression unreadable. What did he say? That I should leave you, that you're dangerous. She met his eyes. Are you? Dangerous, I mean? Yes. To me? Never. He said it with absolute certainty. To Morgan? To anyone who tries to hurt you? Absolutely. Harper stood, paced to the windows, looked out at the city below. She thought about her apartment, her normal life, her safe routine. Then she thought about Morgan's cold voice, his casual threats, the men watching her building. If I do this, if I stay with you, it's not because I trust you completely. She didn't turn around. It's because I'm out of options, and because as dangerous as you might be, Morgan feels worse. I'll take it. And when this is over, when Morgan is no longer a problem, you let me go. No arguments, no negotiations. This ends. If that's what you want, it is. Then you have my word. Harper finally turned to face him. I need to get some things from my apartment. I'll send people. No, I need to do it myself. She struggled to find the words. I need to feel like I still have some control over my own life. Adrian studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Thomas will go with you. And 2 others, non-negotiable. Fine. The drive back to Brooklyn felt surreal. Thomas and 2 other men, professional, silent, intimidating, accompanied her into her building. One waited in the lobby, one stayed outside her door, and Thomas came inside while she packed. She moved through her apartment like a ghost, grabbing clothes and toiletries and her laptop, trying not to think about how her entire life had derailed in less than a week. When she opened her bedside drawer for her phone charger, she found the business card Morgan had left at the gallery. She'd put it there without thinking, without really processing it. Now she stared at the number, wondering what would happen if she called. If Morgan would keep his promises, if walking away from Adrian was the smarter choice. Miss Blake? Thomas stood in the doorway, his voice gentle. We should go. She dropped the card in the trash and zipped her bag closed. The apartment Adrian had set up for her was in the same building as his office, 3 floors down from his penthouse. It was smaller than his place, but still larger than anywhere she'd ever lived. Hardwood floors, modern furniture, windows overlooking the city. You'll be safe here. Adrian stood in the doorway as she set down her bag. There's security on every entrance, cameras on every floor. No one gets in without clearance. So I'm trapped. You're protected. Same thing. No. He moved into the room. You can leave whenever you want. I'm not holding you prisoner. But if you leave, I can't guarantee your safety. Harper sank onto the couch. This is insane. I know. A week ago, I was worried about rent and whether Marcus would give me a raise. Now I'm hiding from mobsters in a luxury apartment. If it helps, the rent here is much better. She looked up at him, surprised. He was almost smiling, not the dangerous version of himself, but something softer. The version that had cooked her dinner. That was a terrible joke. I'm aware. He sat in a chair across from her. Harper, I know this isn't what you signed up for. I know you're scared and angry and probably regretting the moment you ever spoke to me, but I meant what I said. I will keep you safe, no matter what it costs. Why? Why what? Why do you care? You barely know me. I insulted you at a party. We made a stupid bet. None of that is worth—" She gestured around the apartment. "All of this." Adrian was quiet for a long moment. "When you challenged me at the Meridian, you looked at me like I was just another bored rich man. Not like I was dangerous. Not like I was someone to fear. You saw me as ordinary. Do you know how rare that is? So this is about ego after all. No, it's about recognition." He leaned forward. "Everyone in my world either fears me or wants something from me. But you? You just wanted me to prove I wasn't an asshole, and that—" He paused. "That made me want to prove it." "You haven't proven it yet." "I know, but I'm trying." He stood. "Get some rest. You've had a terrible day. I'll be upstairs if you need anything." He was at the door when Harper called out. "Adrian?" He turned. "Thank you for telling me the truth, even if I hate the truth." "You're welcome." After he left, Harper unpacked her bag and tried to make sense of her new reality. She was living in a building owned by a crime boss, hiding from another crime boss, and completely dependent on the man she'd challenged just 5 days ago. Her phone buzzed. "Vanessa. Vanessa. Where are you? Marcus said you left the gallery with some guy and haven't been back. Are you okay?" Harper stared at the message. How was she supposed to explain this? Harper. "I'm fine, just dealing with some unexpected stuff." Vanessa. "Unexpected stuff? Harper, what's going on?" Harper. "I can't really explain right now, but I'm safe, I promise." Vanessa. "This is about that Moretti guy, isn't it? I told you he was dangerous." Harper. "You were right. Happy?" Vanessa. "Not even a little. Where are you staying?" Harper. "Somewhere safe. I'll call you when I can." She turned off her phone before Vanessa could respond. Then she stood at the windows, looking out at Manhattan, and wondered how she'd managed to turn her entire life upside down with just 3 words. "Wanna bet?" Those words had started this. Those words had led to cars and dinners and protection and danger. Those words had introduced her to a version of herself she didn't recognize, the version that had said yes to Adrian's challenge, that had gotten into his car, that had trusted him enough to move into this apartment. She thought about the bet, about whether Adrian had proven her wrong yet, about whether she even wanted him to prove her wrong anymore. The truth was, she didn't know. She didn't know if he was the dangerous criminal or the man who'd cooked her dinner. She didn't know if his protection was control or care. She didn't know if she was staying because she was trapped, or because some part of her, some reckless, curious part, wanted to see where this went. But she knew one thing. The woman who'd walked into the Meridian a week ago, confident in her judgments and secure in her isolation, was gone. And Harper wasn't sure if she'd ever get her back. Her phone buzzed again, even though she'd turned it off. No, not her phone. A different device on the counter. A tablet she hadn't noticed before. She picked it up. One message. Adrian. The security code is 4739. If you need anything, call. I mean it. She stared at the numbers. A code. Access. Trust, maybe. Or the illusion of it. Harper set the tablet down and tried not to think about what tomorrow would bring. About Morgan and Marcus Webb and the dangerous game she'd somehow become the center of. Instead, she thought about Adrian's hands as he'd cooked dinner, the way he'd listened when she talked, the fear in his voice when he'd told her to get in the car. And despite everything, the danger, the lies, the violence, she fell asleep wondering if maybe, just maybe, she'd been wrong about him after all. Harper woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the disorienting realization that her life had become someone else's story. She lay in the oversized bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to remember how she'd gotten here. The memories came back in fragments. Morgan's voice on the phone, Adrian's certainty, the drive to this building with 3 men who treated her like cargo worth protecting. Her phone showed 7 missed calls from Vanessa and a text from Marcus asking if she was coming back to work. She had no idea how to answer either of them. A knock at the door made her jump. "Ms. Blake?" Thomas's voice muffled through the wood. "Mr. Moretti asked me to check if you need anything." Harper pulled on yesterday's clothes and opened the door. Thomas stood there with a coffee cup and what looked like breakfast in a paper bag. "I didn't order this." "Mr. Moretti thought you might be hungry." Thomas held out both items. "He's upstairs if you'd like to speak with him." "I don't." Understood. Thomas didn't move. However, he did ask me to inform you that Morgan made contact again this morning through less diplomatic channels. The coffee suddenly felt heavy in Harper's hand. What does that mean? It means the situation has escalated. Mr. Moretti would like to brief you personally. Harper wanted to refuse, wanted to stay in this apartment and pretend none of this was happening. But the tight expression on Thomas's face told her that wasn't an option anymore. Give me 10 minutes. She showered quickly, changed into clean clothes, and tried not to think about how her entire wardrobe now fit in a single duffel bag. When she opened the door again, Thomas was waiting to escort her upstairs. Adrian's penthouse looked different in daylight, less imposing, more lived in. There were coffee cups on the counter, papers spread across the dining table, and Adrian himself standing at the windows with his phone pressed to his ear. He was wearing jeans and a t-shirt, the most casual she'd seen him, and he looked exhausted. He ended the call when he saw her. You're up. Thomas said Morgan made contact. He did. Adrian gestured to the table. Sit. This is going to take a minute. Harper sat, her stomach nodding. Adrian joined her, spreading out several photographs across the surface. They were surveillance photos, grainy, taken from a distance, but clear enough. Her apartment building, the gallery, Vanessa leaving a restaurant, Marcus locking up the Wren after hours. He's watching everyone you know. Adrian's voice was flat. Making sure you understand he can reach them if he wants to. Harper's hands shook as she picked up the photo of Vanessa. He wouldn't actually... I don't know. That's the problem. Adrian ran a hand through his hair. Morgan operates differently than I do. He's calculated, strategic, but he's also petty. If he thinks hurting someone close to you will get a reaction, he'll do it. So what do? We end this, before he escalates further. Harper set down the photo. How? I'm meeting with him, tomorrow night, neutral territory. Adrian met her eyes. He wants to negotiate. Negotiate what? You, essentially. He wants me to back off, to make it clear you're not under my protection. If I do that, he loses leverage and this ends. Harper felt cold. And if you don't? Then we go to war and people get hurt. He leaned back in his chair. He's betting I'll choose peace over one person, that I'll cut you loose to avoid conflict. Why wouldn't you? The question came out quieter than she intended. I'm nobody, just some woman who insulted you at a party. Why would you risk a war over me? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was careful, measured. Because the moment I let Morgan dictate who I protect and who I abandon, I've already lost. Not just this conflict, everything. My authority, my reputation, my ability to operate in this city. If I back down now, every rival I have will see weakness, and weakness gets you killed. So this is still about power. It's about survival, but yes, also power. He didn't apologize for it. That's the world I live in, Harper. That's the world you're in now, whether you wanted it or not. I didn't want it. I know. Harper stood, paced to the windows, looked out at the city that suddenly felt hostile. What happens at this meeting? I tell Morgan you're off limits, that any move against you or anyone you care about will be considered an act of war. And I make it clear I'm prepared to follow through on that threat. And if he doesn't believe you, then I prove it. The way he said it, calm, certain, final, made Harper's skin crawl. You're talking about killing people. I'm talking about protecting what's mine. He caught himself. What I've chosen to protect. I'm not yours. I know that too. Adrian stood, moved closer but didn't crowd her. But Morgan doesn't. And that perception is what keeps you safe. So for now, for this, you need to let people believe you are. That you matter to me in a way that makes you untouchable. Harper laughed, but there was no humor in it. This is insane. A week ago I didn't know you existed. Now I'm supposed to pretend I'm, what, your girlfriend? Your property? My partner. The word landed between them with unexpected weight. Someone I've chosen to stand beside. That's what I'm asking you to be. At least publicly. At least until this is over. And in private? In private, you're still the woman who called me an emotionally unavailable asshole. And you can keep calling me that if it helps. Something shifted in his expression. Not quite a smile, but close. I'm not asking you to lie about who I am, Harper. I'm asking you to let me keep you alive long enough to prove you were wrong about me. You haven't proven that yet. I know, but I'm running out of time to try. He moved back to the table, gathered the photographs. The meeting is tomorrow at 10. I'll be gone most of the day preparing. Thomas will stay with you. Don't leave this building. So I'm a prisoner. You're protected. He met her eyes. There's a difference. Is there? She threw his own words back at him again. Because from where I'm standing, you're making all the decisions, and I'm just supposed to go along with them. You're right. The admission surprised her. You're absolutely right. I am making decisions for you. Because you don't have enough information to make them yourself. Because my world operates on rules you don't understand yet. And because if I give you a choice right now, you'll choose wrong and get yourself killed. You don't know that. Yes, I do. His voice hardened. Morgan already offered you protection. He called you yesterday. If I wasn't standing there, if you weren't scared enough, you might have said yes. And the moment you walked into his territory, you would have disappeared. Not killed. That would be too obvious. Just gone. A bargaining chip he could use against me for years. Harper's throat tightened. You don't know I would have said yes. Don't I? Adrian stepped closer. You don't trust me, Harper. You've made that very clear. So when someone offers you an alternative, an escape from the dangerous man who's inserted himself into your life, why wouldn't you take it? Because something in Morgan's voice had felt wrong. Because Adrian, for all his violence and control, had never lied to her. Because when she'd looked at the business card, her instinct had been to throw it away. But she didn't say any of that. I need air, she said instead. The terrace is through that door. It's secure. Adrian gestured to a glass door she hadn't noticed. Take all the time you need. The terrace was massive, spanning the entire length of the penthouse, with views that probably cost more than Harper would make in her lifetime. She stood at the railing, breathing in the cold air, trying to sort through the mess her life had become. Her phone buzzed. Vanessa again. She answered this time. Hey. Oh, thank God. Harper, where are you? I've been worried sick. I'm safe. I can't really explain more than that. This is about Moretti, isn't it? Marcus told me about the guy who came to the gallery. Said he was asking questions about some old business deal. Vanessa's voice dropped. Harper, Marcus looked scared. Actually scared. What have you gotten into? I don't know. It was the most honest thing she could say. But I need you to be careful. If anyone approaches you, anyone asking about me or Adrian Moretti, don't engage. Just walk away and call me. You're scaring me. Good. Be scared. Be careful. Harper gripped the railing. I'm serious, Ness. This isn't drama. This is real. Then come stay with me. Get away from whatever this is. I can't. Not yet. Why not? Because leaving Adrian's protection might get Vanessa hurt. Because Morgan was watching everyone she knew. Because she'd made a choice, unconsciously maybe, but still a choice, to stay in Adrian's world rather than risk Morgan's. I just can't. Trust me. Please. Vanessa was quiet for a long moment. Call me every day, even if it's just a text. So I know you're okay. I will. I promise. After they hung up, Harper stayed on the terrace, watching the city move below her. From up here, everything looked clean, orderly, manageable. But she knew better now. She knew about the violence underneath, the power struggles, the men like Adrian and Morgan who shaped the city according to their own rules. The glass door opened behind her. Adrian stepped out, carrying 2 mugs. Coffee. Actual coffee this time, not whatever Thomas brought you. He handed her a mug. You looked like you could use it. Thanks. She took it, surprised by the gesture. Shouldn't you be preparing for tomorrow? I am. Part of preparing is making sure you're okay. He leaned against the railing beside her. What did your friend say? That I should leave. That I'm in over my head. Harper took a sip of coffee. It was perfect, just the right amount of cream. She's not wrong. No, she's not. Adrian stared out at the skyline. For what it's worth, I wish none of this had happened. I wish I'd just walked away that night at the Meridian, let you insult rich men and go back to your normal life. But you didn't. No, I didn't. He glanced at her. Want to know why? I thought it was because I bruised your ego. That was part of it. But the real reason? He turned to face her fully. You looked at me like I was human, not dangerous, not powerful, just another asshole at a party who needed to be taken down a peg. And I realized I couldn't remember the last time someone had done that. Couldn't remember the last time someone saw me as just a man. Harper didn't know what to say to that. The vulnerability in his voice didn't match the dangerous world he inhabited. "You're still an asshole," she said finally. "I know." He almost smiled. "But am I the kind you thought I was?" She wanted to say yes, wanted to hold on to her original judgment, her certainty that men like him were all the same. But standing here, drinking coffee he'd made, watching him look exhausted and almost human, she couldn't quite make the words come out. "I don't know what kind you are yet." "Fair enough." He pushed off the railing. "I have some calls to make. There's food in the kitchen, entertainment system in the living room. Treat this place like it's yours." "It's not mine." "No, but it could be. For now." He paused at the door. "Harper, thank you." "For what?" "For not running, for trusting me enough to stay, even if it's just because you're out of options." He disappeared inside before she could respond. Harper stayed on the terrace, watching the sun climb higher, and tried to figure out what she actually felt. Fear, definitely. Anger at being trapped in this situation. But underneath that, something else. Something that felt dangerously close to curiosity about the man who'd just thanked her for not running. The rest of the day passed in strange limbo. Harper tried to work remotely, responding to emails from the gallery, but her mind kept drifting. She could hear Adrian on the phone throughout the day, his voice low, controlled, occasionally sharp. Planning for tomorrow's meeting, preparing for whatever came next. Around 7, Thomas appeared with dinner. "Mister, Moretti thought you might want your own space tonight, but he asked me to remind you that he's upstairs if you need anything." "I won't need anything." Thomas just nodded and left. But an hour later, Harper found herself taking the elevator up to the penthouse anyway. She told herself it was because she needed answers, because she deserved to know what Adrian was planning for tomorrow. But really, it was because the apartment felt too quiet, too isolated. And despite everything, Adrian's presence had become something almost like comfort. She found him at the dining table, surrounded by papers and photographs, a glass of whiskey at his elbow. He looked up when she entered. "Couldn't stay away?" "Don't flatter yourself. I want to know what's happening tomorrow." "Straight to business." He gestured to the chair across from him. "Sit." She did. He pushed a photograph toward her, a warehouse, nondescript, somewhere near the water. "This is where we're meeting. Neutral territory, supposedly. Morgan's choice." "You don't trust it." "I don't trust him." Adrian pulled the photo back. "But I don't have a choice. If I refuse the meeting, it signals weakness. And weakness invites aggression. So you're walking into a potential trap. With precautions." He pointed to other photos, building layouts, security plans, positioning strategies. "I'll have people positioned around the perimeter. Exit strategies, contingencies. What if he doesn't negotiate in good faith? Then things get ugly." Adrian met her eyes. "And you stay here, safe, while I handle it." "And if you don't come back?" The question hung between them. Adrian set down his pen, leaned back in his chair. "If I don't come back, Thomas has instructions. He'll get you out of the city. New identity, new life. Morgan will have no reason to pursue you if I'm dead." Harper's chest tightened. "You've actually planned for that." "I planned for everything." But his voice was gentler than usual. "But I don't intend to die tomorrow, Harper. I intend to end this, to make it clear that you're under my protection, and that's non-negotiable. And then, when it's over, you can decide if you want to stay or go." "Why would I stay?" "Because maybe, by then, I'll have proven you wrong." He stood, moved to the window. "Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'm exactly what you thought I was, a dangerous man who controls people instead of connecting with them. But either way, you'll have the choice." Harper joined him at the window. "What do you want me to be wrong about?" "Everything. That men like me can't care about anything beyond power. That we're incapable of genuine connection. That we see people as assets instead of..." He stopped himself. "Instead of what?" He turned to look at her, and in the dim light, his expression was unguarded. "Instead of people worth protecting just because they exist. Worth knowing because they challenge us. worth caring about because they make us feel human again. The words hit Harper harder than she expected. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you're brave enough to challenge a room full of powerful men, smart enough to see through pretense, and stubborn enough to keep fighting even when you're scared. He stepped closer. And I know that since the moment I met you, I've felt more like myself than I have in years. That's not... Harper's voice caught. You can't say things like that. Why not? Because it makes this harder, because it makes me want to believe you're not what you are. And what am I? Dangerous, violent, someone who threatens people for a living? She forced herself to hold his gaze. Someone I should run from. But you're not running. Because I can't. Because Morgan... No. Adrian cut her off, his voice quiet but certain. You're not running because part of you doesn't want to. Part of you is curious about what this could be, about who I could be. You're just too scared to admit it. He was right. She hated that he was right. This bet, she said, changing the subject. The one we made. Where does it stand? I don't know. You tell me. He tilted his head. Have I proven you wrong yet? Have I shown you that men like me can be more than empty suits and power plays? Harper thought about the past week. The cars, the dinner, the protection. The way he'd told her the truth about Marcus Webb even though it made him look worse. The exhaustion in his eyes as he planned for tomorrow's meeting. The vulnerability when he'd admitted he wanted to feel human. You've shown me you're more complicated than I thought, she admitted. But complicated doesn't mean good. It just means harder to categorize. I'll take it. He stepped back, giving her space. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be long. Adrian? She stopped him before he could turn away. Come back alive, okay? Something shifted in his expression, surprise, maybe, or gratitude. I'll do my best. Harper took the elevator back down to her apartment, her mind racing. She shouldn't care if he came back. She should be hoping this ended one way or another, so she could return to her normal life. But the thought of him walking into that warehouse, of facing Morgan with nothing but his own certainty and whatever precautions he'd planned, it made her chest tight with fear. She tried to sleep, but couldn't. Every sound in the building made her jump. Every passing hour felt heavier. Around 2 a.m, her phone buzzed. Adrian. Still awake? Harper. Can't sleep. Adrian. Me either. Come up? She should have said no. Should have stayed in her apartment, maintained distance. Instead, she found herself in the elevator again, riding up to the penthouse in her pajamas. Adrian was still at the table, but the papers were gone now. Just him and his whiskey and the view. Couldn't stop thinking? He asked when she entered. Something like that. She sat on the couch. You? I'm running scenarios, trying to predict what Morgan will do. He brought his glass to the couch, sat on the opposite end. Want to hear something funny? Sure. I've been in this business for 15 years. I've negotiated with people who would kill me without blinking. I've faced down rivals who had every advantage, but I've never been this nervous before a meeting. Why are you nervous about this one? Because this time I have something to lose. He looked at her. Usually it's just me, just my life, my business. If things go wrong, the consequences are mine alone. But now, he trailed off. But now what? Now I'm responsible for someone else, for keeping you safe. And the idea of failing at that, of Morgan getting past my defenses and hurting you, his jaw tightened. It's keeping me up at night. Harper pulled her knees to her chest. I'm sorry for being a liability. You're not a liability, you're... He stopped, seemed to reconsider his words. You're someone I chose to protect. That's different. Why did you choose it? Really? Because walking away would have haunted me. He said it simply. Because I looked at you and thought, here's someone who sees the world clearly, who doesn't make excuses, who expects better. And I wanted to be better. For you, because of you. You don't even know me. Then tell me about yourself. Help me know you. He settled deeper into the couch. We have hours until sunrise. Tell me who Harper Blake actually is. She almost deflected, almost changed the subject, but something about the quiet darkness, the exhaustion in both their voices, made her answer honestly. I'm someone who learned not to trust people, who keeps everyone at arm's length because it's safer, who convinced herself that being alone was the same as being strong. She stared at her hands. I came to New York to be someone different, someone braver, but I just ended up being alone in a bigger city. And the men you date or don't date? I don't, not really. Harper felt heat rise to her face. I told you, rich men, powerful men, they're all the same. They want something pretty to show off, someone who makes them feel important. But they don't actually want to know you. They just want the idea of you. Is that experience talking or fear? Both. She met his eyes. I dated someone like that in college. Wealthy family, big plans. He made me feel special until I wasn't useful anymore. Then I was just invisible. What happened? I caught him cheating. When I confronted him, he acted like I was overreacting, like I should be grateful he'd paid attention to me at all. Her voice went flat. So yeah, experience taught me that men with power don't see people. They see accessories. Adrian was quiet for a long moment. I'm sorry that happened to you. Don't be. It taught me not to make the same mistake twice. And yet here you are, with another man with power. Yeah. She laughed, but it sounded hollow. Guess I'm not as smart as I thought. Or maybe you're smart enough to know I'm different. He leaned forward. Harper, I can't undo what that asshole did to you. But I can promise you this, you're not invisible to me. You never have been. From the moment you challenged me, you've been the most visible person in any room. That's just chemistry, attraction. It's more than that. His voice dropped. But even if it was just attraction, is that so bad? Being wanted, being seen? It is when it comes with a price tag. What price tag? My independence, my safety, my ability to walk away. She gestured around the penthouse. All of this comes with strings, Adrian. You can dress it up as protection, but at the end of the day, I'm still trapped. You're not trapped. You're choosing to stay. Because the alternative is worse. Is it? He stood, moved to the window. You could call Morgan right now, take his offer, test whether he's more trustworthy than me. But you won't. Not because you're trapped, but because despite everything, despite your fear and your very justified anger, you trust me more than you trust him. She wanted to argue, wanted to deny it, but he was right, and they both knew it. That doesn't mean I trust you completely. I know, but it's a start. He turned back to face her. Get some sleep, Harper. Real sleep. I'll wake you before I leave tomorrow. Why? Because I want you to know I kept my promise, that I came back. This time when Harper left, she did manage to sleep. And when she woke, it was to sunlight and the sound of her phone buzzing with a message. Adrian. Leaving now. Stay inside. Stay safe. She pulled on clothes and took the elevator up, but the penthouse was empty. He was already gone, already walking into whatever waited at that warehouse, and Harper was left alone, trapped between fear for his safety and anger at herself for caring. The hours crawled by. She tried to distract herself with work, with television, with anything that would keep her mind occupied, but every passing minute felt heavier, more dangerous. Thomas appeared around noon with food she couldn't eat. Any word? She asked. Not yet, Ms. Blake. That's normal. These meetings take time. Is he... She couldn't finish the question. Mr. Moretti is very good at what he does. Try not to worry. But worry was all Harper could do. She paced the apartment, checked her phone obsessively, and tried not to imagine all the ways this could go wrong. 3 o'clock came and went, then 4, then 5. At 6, her phone finally rang. Unknown number. She answered with shaking hands. Hello? Harper Blake? Morgan's voice smooth and cold. I thought you should know. Your friend Adrian is currently bleeding on my warehouse floor. He came to negotiate, but negotiations have broken down. Harper's blood turns to ice. You're lying. Am I? Morgan's voice carried amusement. Would you like to hear him? I can put him on, though he's not very talkative at the moment. The sound of fabric rustling, then a groan. Low, pained, unmistakably Adrian's voice. Harper's grip tightened on the phone. What do you want? The same thing I've always wanted. For Adrian to understand his limitations. Morgan's tone shifted, became almost conversational. He walked in here thinking he could dictate terms, thinking his reputation would be enough to protect you. But reputation means nothing when you're outnumbered and outgunned. If you hurt him, you'll what, Harper? You're 3 miles away in his pretty tower. You're exactly where he wanted you. Safe, contained, useless. The word landed like a slap. He thought protecting you meant hiding you, but all he's done is make you irrelevant to the outcome. Harper's mind raced. Thomas was downstairs. Adrian's security throughout the building. But Morgan was right. She was trapped here, unable to do anything while Adrian bled out in some warehouse. Let me talk to him. Why? So you can say goodbye? Morgan laughed. I'll make you a deal, Harper. Same one I offered before. Come to me, right now, alone, and I'll let Adrian live. You can even take him with you when you leave. I don't believe you. Smart girl. You shouldn't believe me completely, but ask yourself this. If you do nothing, Adrian definitely dies. If you come here, there's at least a chance I'll keep my word. A pause. You have 30 minutes. The address is being sent to your phone now. Come alone, or he dies. Bring anyone with you, he dies. Tell Thomas or any of Adrian's people, he dies. Do you understand? Yes. Good. Clock's ticking. The line went dead. A text came through immediately. An address near the waterfront, the same warehouse from Adrian's photographs. Harper stared at her phone, her heart hammering so hard she could barely think. This was a trap. Obviously a trap. Morgan wanted her there for leverage, for control, maybe to kill them both. Going would be the stupidest thing she could possibly do. But the alternative was staying here, safe and useless, while Adrian died because of her. She thought about calling Thomas, about using the security Adrian had put in place. But Morgan had been clear. Any deviation from his instructions and Adrian was dead, and something in his voice told her he meant it. Harper grabbed her jacket and her phone, pulled up the warehouse address, and tried to figure out how to get out of the building without being stopped. The elevator required a code, but she had it, 4739. The code Adrian had given her, trust, or the illusion of it. She took the elevator down to the parking garage, avoiding the main lobby where security would see her. The garage was mostly empty, rows of expensive cars she couldn't drive, even if she had keys. But there was a door marked exit at the far end, and when she pushed through it, she found herself on a side street. The cold air hit her like a physical force. She pulled out her phone, ordered a rideshare, and tried not to think about how thoroughly she was about to violate every instruction Adrian had given her. The car arrived in 4 minutes. The driver was chatty, asking about her evening plans. Harper gave one-word answers, her mind racing through scenarios. What would she do when she got there? Walk into a warehouse full of Morgan's men with no plan and no weapons? It was suicide. But Adrian's voice, that pained groan, kept echoing in her head. The warehouse district was exactly as desolate as it looked in the photographs. Empty streets, industrial buildings, the kind of area where screams wouldn't attract attention. The driver dropped her at the address Morgan had sent, looking uncertain. You sure this is right? Doesn't look like much is here. It's right. Thanks. Harper got out before he could ask more questions. The warehouse loomed in front of her, concrete and rust and broken windows. No visible guards, no cars, nothing to indicate what waited inside. But Morgan knew she was coming. He'd be watching. She walked to the main entrance, a metal door that hung slightly open. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to call for help, to do literally anything except walk through that door. But she thought about Adrian cooking her dinner, about his exhaustion as he planned for this meeting, about his promise to come back alive. Harper pushed the door open and stepped inside. The warehouse was dim, lit by industrial lights hanging from the ceiling. Empty crates were scattered around, creating shadows and blind spots. And in the center, tied to a chair, was Adrian. His face was bruised, blood trailing from a cut above his eye. His shirt was torn, showing more bruises across his ribs. But he was alive. And when he saw her, his expression shifted from pain to something close to horror. Harper, no. Touching, isn't it? Morgan stepped out from behind a stack of crates, flanked by 4 men with guns. She actually came. Alone. I half expected her to bring your entire security team. You need to leave. Adrian's voice was rough, strained. Right now, Harper. Run. I can't do that. She kept her eyes on Morgan, trying to project confidence she didn't feel. You said if I came, you'd let him go. I said there was a chance I'd keep my word. Morgan smiled. I didn't promise anything. Then what do you want? I want Adrian to understand consequences, to feel what it's like to be powerless. Morgan moved closer to Adrian's chair. He's spent years operating like he's untouchable, like his reputation and his network make him invincible. But everyone has a weakness, and you, Harper Blake, are his. I'm not, Harper started. You are. Morgan cut her off. I've been watching him for weeks, watched him change his entire routine for you, watched him take risks, expose vulnerabilities, all for a woman he barely knows. It's pathetic, really. And it's going to get him killed. Adrian pulled against his restraints. This is between us, Morgan. Leave her out of it. But she's the whole point. Morgan pulled out a gun, checked it casually. See? I could kill you right now. End this territorial dispute permanently. But where's the lesson in that? You die believing you were protecting something valuable, that your sacrifice meant something. He turned the gun toward Harper. But if I kill her first, if I make you watch, then you die knowing you failed, that all your power, all your planning couldn't save the one thing you actually cared about. Don't, Adrian's voice broke. I'll give you anything. Territory, money, access, whatever you want. Just let her walk out of here. Tempting, but no. Morgan's finger moved to the trigger. Any last words, Harper? Harper's mind went blank with fear, but somewhere underneath the terror, anger surfaced. Anger at Morgan for his cruelty, at Adrian for being right about everything, at herself for walking into this trap, and that anger made her stupid or brave or both. You're pathetic, she heard herself say. Morgan's expression flickered. Excuse me? You heard me, you're pathetic, Harper's voice steadied. You think this makes you powerful? Threatening an unarmed woman? Torturing someone who came here to negotiate? This is what weak men do when they're scared of actual competition. I'm not scared of Adrian. Yes, you are. You're terrified of him. That's why you set this trap instead of facing him directly. That's why you need 4 armed men to feel safe. She took a step forward, reckless. You're not powerful, Morgan. You're just a coward with a gun. Morgan's face went red. You stupid! The gunshot was deafening in the enclosed space. Harper flinched, waiting for pain, but it didn't come. Instead, one of Morgan's men dropped, blood blooming across his chest. Chaos erupted. More gunshots from outside, windows shattering as armed men poured through them. Adrian's security finally arriving. Morgan spun, trying to track the new threats. And in that moment of distraction, Adrian threw his weight sideways, tipping the chair and breaking it against the concrete. He was on his feet in seconds despite his injuries, hands still bound but moving fast. He tackled Morgan before the older man could recover, and they went down hard. Harper didn't think. She ran toward them, grabbed the gun that had fallen from Morgan's hand, and pointed it at the struggling men. Her hand shook so badly she could barely hold it. Stop! Both of you, stop! But they didn't stop. Adrian got his bound hands around Morgan's throat, squeezing. Morgan gasped, clawed at Adrian's arms, his face turning purple. Around them, gunfire continued as Adrian's men and Morgan's killed each other with professional efficiency. Adrian! Harper's voice cracked. You're going to kill him. That's the idea. Adrian's voice was dead calm. Stop. This isn't... You can't. Harper moved closer, the gun heavy in her hands. You said you weren't like this. You said you were different. Something in her voice must have reached him. Adrian's grip loosened slightly. Morgan sucked in air, coughing. He tried to kill you, Adrian said without looking at her. I know, but you're not a murderer. Not like this. Not in front of me. She didn't know if that was true. Didn't know what Adrian had done in his past. But she knew if he killed Morgan right now, something would break between them that couldn't be fixed. Adrian's hands trembled, still around Morgan's throat. Every muscle in his body screamed violence. But slowly, impossibly, he released his grip. If you ever come near her again, Adrian's voice was barely above a whisper, I will end you so slowly you'll beg for death. Do you understand? Morgan nodded, gasping. Thomas appeared beside them, breathing hard, gun drawn. "Sir, we've secured the perimeter. Get him out of here." Adrian stood, his hands still bound. "Lock him in one of the back offices. We'll decide what to do with him later." Two of Adrian's men dragged Morgan away. The warehouse had gone quiet except for groaning from the injured. Harper stood frozen, the gun still in her hands, her whole body shaking. Adrian moved toward her slowly, carefully, like she was the dangerous one. "Harper, give me the gun." She looked down at her hands, surprised to still be holding it. I can't. "I know. It's okay." He held out his bound hands. "You need to cut these first. There's probably a knife on one of the bodies." The casual way he said it made Harper's stomach turn. She dropped the gun and moved on autopilot, finding a knife, cutting through the zip ties around Adrian's wrists. His hands were raw underneath, bleeding where he'd fought the restraints. The moment he was free, he pulled her into his arms. She stiffened, then collapsed against him, her whole body shaking. "You're an idiot," he said into her hair. "Coming here alone. What were you thinking?" "I was thinking you were dying. I was thinking I couldn't just sit there and do nothing." "You should have done nothing. You should have stayed safe." "Like you stayed safe? Like you didn't walk into an obvious trap?" She pulled back to look at him. "You're bleeding." "I'm fine." "You're not fine. She touched his face near the cut above his eye, and he winced. "We need to get you to a hospital." "No hospitals. Too many questions." He caught her hand. "Harper, what you did, calling me out when I had Morgan, I didn't want you to be that person, the one who kills in cold blood." "I've been that person before." "I know, but not tonight. Not because of me." She felt tears starting, tried to blink them back. "I didn't come all this way just to watch you become a murderer." Something shifted in Adrian's expression. "You came all this way to save me. Obviously. After everything. After I dragged you into this world, put you in danger, proved I'm exactly as dangerous as you thought, you still came. I'm an idiot, remember? You just said so. No." He cupped her face in his damaged hands. "You're the bravest person I've ever met, and I don't deserve you, but I'm too selfish to let you go." "Adrian," he kissed her. It wasn't gentle or romantic or any of the things kisses were supposed to be. It was desperate and messy and tasted like blood. But Harper kissed him back anyway, her hands fisting in his torn shirt, her body pressed against his despite the danger, despite everything. When they finally broke apart, Thomas was standing a respectful distance away, politely looking elsewhere. "Sir, we should move. Police will respond to the gunfire eventually." "Right." Adrian kept one arm around Harper. "Everyone out. Clean the scene. Make it look like a gang dispute, nothing connected to us." His men moved with practiced efficiency. Harper tried not to look at the bodies, at the blood, at the evidence of violence she'd walked into. This was Adrian's world. This was what she'd signed up for when she'd accepted his protection. The drive back to Manhattan was silent. Harper sat pressed against Adrian in the back of the car, his arm around her shoulders, both of them covered in blood and bruises. Thomas drove, asking no questions. Back at the penthouse, Adrian's personal doctor was waiting, an older woman who took one look at them and sighed. "I told you this lifestyle would catch up with you." "Good to see you too, Dr. Chen." Adrian guided Harper to the couch. "Check her first." "I'm fine." "You're in shock. Sit down." Dr. Chen pulled out medical supplies. "Any pain? Injuries I should know about?" "No, I'm not. I wasn't hurt." Harper looked at Adrian. "He's the one who's been beaten. I'll get to him." Doctor Chen checked Harper's pupils, her pulse, asked questions in a calm, professional voice. Eventually, she seemed satisfied. "You're lucky. No physical trauma beyond stress. But you should rest, drink water, and probably talk to someone about what you experienced." "I'm fine," Harper repeated, but the words felt hollow. Dr. Chen moved to Adrian, who sat uncharacteristically still while she examined his injuries. "Bruised ribs, possible concussion, lacerations that need cleaning. You're lucky nothing's broken." "Luck had nothing to do with it." Adrian watched Harper while Dr. Chen worked. "They were careful. Morgan wanted me functional enough to watch him kill her." The casual way he said it made Harper's chest tight. "But he didn't." "Because you showed up and ruined his plan." Adrian winced as Dr. Chen cleaned the cut above his eye. Because you're reckless and brave and you saved my life. You would have gotten out somehow. No, I wouldn't have. He said it with absolute certainty. They had me. I was out of options. And then you walked in and called Morgan pathetic to his face. Harper felt heat rise to her cheeks. That was stupid. That was incredible. Dr. Chen applied butterfly stitches. Hold still. And yes, it was also stupid. You're both idiots who are somehow still alive. After Dr. Chen left, Harper and Adrian sat in silence. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving exhaustion and the weight of what had happened. What happens now? Harper asked finally. With Morgan? He's contained. We'll negotiate his release in exchange for territory and assurances. Adrian's voice was tired. This is how these things work. Violence, then negotiation, then an uneasy peace until the next conflict. That's insane. That's survival. Harper stood, paced to the windows, looked out at the city that suddenly felt foreign. I can't do this. I can't be part of this world where where violence is normal, where I have to watch you get beaten or kill someone or... Then don't. Adrian didn't move from the couch. I told you. When this is over, you can leave. Go back to your normal life. Forget any of this happened. Can I really just forget? She turned to face him. I killed someone tonight, Adrian. I picked up that gun and I was ready to use it. That's not who I am. That's not... You didn't kill anyone. Thomas's men did. You were just trying to survive. That doesn't make it better. No, it doesn't. He stood slowly, his ribs clearly hurting. But it's the truth. You're not a killer, Harper. You're someone who walked into danger to save someone she cares about. That's different. Is it? She felt tears starting again. Because I don't know anymore. I don't know who I am, or what I'm doing, or why I can't seem to walk away from you, even though every rational part of my brain is screaming at me to run. Adrian moved toward her, stopping just within reach. You want to know why? Yes. Because despite everything, despite the violence and the danger and the world I live in, you see something in me worth saving. His voice dropped. Just like I see something in you worth protecting. We're both idiots, Harper, but we're idiots together. She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him he was wrong, that she didn't see anything worth saving, that this was just trauma bonding or Stockholm Syndrome or any other explanation that didn't involve actual feelings. But standing there, looking at his bruised face and damaged hands, she couldn't make the words come out. The bet, she said instead. Do you remember? About whether you could prove me wrong? I remember. I think you did. Prove me wrong, I mean. She took a shaky breath. You're not emotionally unavailable. You're not incapable of connection. You're dangerous and violent, and you live in a world I don't understand. But you're also the person who cooked me dinner and asked about my day and walked into a trap to protect me. So yeah, you proved me wrong. Adrian's expression softened. Does that mean you're staying? I don't know. I don't know anything right now except that I'm exhausted and traumatized and I can't think clearly. Then don't think. He closed the distance between them. Just stay. Tonight. Tomorrow. However long you need to figure out what you want. What if what I want is impossible? What if I want you but not your world? Then we figure it out together. He pulled her close, careful of his injuries. I'm not asking you to accept everything about my life, Harper. I'm just asking you not to leave yet. Give us a chance to see what this could be when we're not actively being shot at. She laughed despite herself, the sound bordering on hysterical. That's a low bar. It's a starting point. Harper leaned into him, her face pressed against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. It was steady, strong, alive. They were both alive despite everything. Okay, she whispered. I'll stay. For now. For now is enough. They stood there for a long time, holding each other, both damaged and exhausted and alive. Outside, the city continued its rhythm. Millions of people living their normal lives, unaware of the violence and fear and unexpected connection happening in this penthouse. Eventually, Adrian led her to his bedroom. Not for anything sexual, just for sleep. They collapsed onto the bed together, still in their blood-stained clothes, too tired to do anything except hold each other. Harper? Adrian's voice was heavy with approaching sleep. Yeah? Thank you for coming for me, for stopping me from killing Morgan, for not running when you had every reason to. Thank you for not dying. She curled closer. And for making me doubt everything I thought I knew about people like you. People like me? Rich, powerful, dangerous. She felt sleep pulling at her, capable of connection despite all that. He kissed the top of her head. Sleep. We'll deal with the rest tomorrow. Harper closed her eyes and let exhaustion take her. Her last conscious thought was that she'd walked into a warehouse tonight fully expecting to die, but instead she'd found something she hadn't known she was looking for, someone worth fighting for, someone who saw her not as invisible or accessory, but as essential. Someone who'd proven, against all odds, that she'd been wrong about men like him, or at least wrong about this one. And that, Harper realized as sleep finally claimed her, was enough for now. Harper woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the immediate disorienting realization that she was wrapped around Adrian Moretti like he was the only solid thing in the world. His arm was heavy across her waist, his breathing slow and even against her neck. For a moment, just one brief, perfect moment, she let herself forget everything that had happened and simply existed in the warmth of another person. Then her body registered the ache in her muscles, the dried blood on her clothes, and the memories came flooding back. The warehouse. Morgan. The gunshots. The way Adrian's hands had trembled around Morgan's throat until she'd stopped him. She'd stopped him from becoming a murderer, or maybe just from becoming a murderer in front of her. The distinction felt important but also meaningless. Adrian stirred, his grip tightening reflexively before he woke fully. When his eyes opened, they found hers immediately. You're still here. Where else would I go? Harper's voice came out rough. I don't even know what day it is. Thursday, early. He shifted, wincing. My ribs are reminding me why fighting with bound hands is a terrible idea. You should take something for the pain. I will. In a minute. He didn't move, didn't release her. Harper, about last night, can we not? Not yet? She pressed her face against his shoulder. I just need a few more minutes of pretending the world is normal before we deal with everything. Okay. His hand moved to her hair, gentle. A few more minutes. They lay there in silence, both awake, both avoiding the conversation they needed to have. Finally, Harper's phone buzzed from somewhere on the floor, shattering the illusion of peace. She extracted herself from Adrian's arms and found her phone tangled in her jacket. 7 missed calls from Vanessa, 3 from Marcus, and a text from Thomas that simply read, Situation contained. Morgan has agreed to terms. What does that mean? Harper showed Adrian the message. What terms? Adrian sat up slowly, his bruised torso making the movement painful. It means Morgan signed over territory and agreed to cease any action against you in exchange for his freedom and his life. It's over. Just like that? After everything, it's just over? That's how these things work. Neither side can afford prolonged conflict. We establish boundaries, make agreements, move forward. He stood, moved toward the bathroom. You should shower, change. We need to have a conversation, but you'll feel better clean. Harper wanted to argue, wanted to demand answers right now, but he was right. She felt disgusting, her skin tight with dried blood that wasn't hers, her clothes stiff with it. She gathered clean things from the apartment downstairs and returned to use Adrian's shower, letting the hot water wash away the physical evidence of last night, even if it couldn't touch the memories. When she emerged, dressed in jeans and a sweater that felt impossibly normal, she found Adrian in the kitchen making coffee. He'd changed too, moving carefully around his injuries, and the domestic normalcy of it felt surreal. How do you do this? Harper accepted the coffee cup he offered. Go from violence to making breakfast like it's nothing? Practice. Compartmentalization. Necessity. He leaned against the counter. And it's not nothing. I'm just good at functioning through it. That's not healthy. No, it's not. He met her eyes. But it's survival. This is my world, Harper. This is what I do. And I need you to understand that before we have the conversation we need to have. Harper's stomach nodded. Which conversation? The one about what happens next. About whether you stay or go. About what you want from me and what I can actually give you. He set down his cup. Because last night, in that warehouse, you saw the worst of my world. The violence, the danger, the reality of what I am, and you need to decide if that's something you can live with. You're giving me an out. I'm giving you a choice, a real one, not made under duress, not because Morgan is threatening you, but because you deserve to choose your own life. Harper moved to the windows, looked out at Manhattan in daylight. The city looked clean from up here, orderly, like the chaos underneath didn't exist. What do you want? She asked without turning around. I want you to stay. I want to prove that last night was the exception, not the rule. I want... He stopped himself. I want things I probably don't deserve. Like what? Like you. Like waking up with you still there. Like conversations over coffee and arguments about my terrible jokes and someone who looks at me like I'm human instead of dangerous. His voice was quiet. Like a life that's more than just survival and power plays. Harper turned to face him. You're asking me to be with you, really with you, not just protected by you. I'm asking if that's even possible. If you could want someone like me knowing what you know now. She wanted to say no. Wanted to tell him this was insane, that she couldn't build a relationship with someone whose world included warehouses and gunfire and negotiated peace treaties with rivals. But when she looked at him, bruised, careful, vulnerable in a way she'd never seen before, the answer wasn't as simple as it should have been. I don't know, she admitted. I don't know if I can do this. Be part of your world. Watch you walk into danger. Wonder if every phone call is going to be someone telling me you're dead. That's fair. But I also don't know if I can walk away, if I can just go back to my normal life and pretend none of this happened. Pretend I didn't feel something when I thought you were dying. She moved closer. So I guess what I'm saying is, I don't have an answer yet, and I need time to figure it out. How much time? I don't know that either. Harper felt tears threatening again. Is that okay? Can you live with that uncertainty? I can live with anything that keeps you in my life. He reached for her hand carefully, like she might pull away. Take all the time you need. Stay here. Go back to your apartment, whatever feels right. Just don't disappear without telling me. I won't disappear. She laced her fingers through his. But I need to see Vanessa, talk to Marcus, deal with the normal parts of my life that I've been ignoring. I'll have Thomas drive you. No, I need to do this myself. No drivers, no security, just me being a normal person for a few hours. Adrian looked like he wanted to argue, but he nodded. Okay, but take this. He pulled a phone from his pocket. Not hers, a different one. Burner phone. My number is the only one programmed. If anything happens, if anyone approaches you, if you need anything at all, call. Harper took the phone. You're still protecting me. I'll always protect you, even when you don't want me to. She left the penthouse an hour later, taking a cab to Brooklyn, to Vanessa's apartment where she knew her friend would be anxiously waiting. The city felt different in daylight, less threatening, and Harper tried to recapture the feeling of being just another person going about their day. Vanessa answered the door before Harper finished knocking, her expression cycling through relief, anger, and concern in rapid succession. You're alive. I'm alive. Get inside now and start talking. Vanessa pulled her into the apartment. I have been losing my mind. You disappear for days, send cryptic texts, ignore my calls, and then Marcus tells me there was some kind of incident at the gallery and you haven't been back. I'm sorry. Harper sank onto Vanessa's couch. I'm so sorry. Everything got complicated really fast. Complicated how? What is going on with you and this Moretti guy? Harper told her. Not everything. She left out the specifics of the warehouse, the bodies, the worst of the violence. But enough. About Morgan, about being used as leverage, about Adrian's world and the danger it represented. Vanessa listened without interrupting, her expression growing more horrified with each revelation. Harper, you need to go to the police. And tell them what? That I walked into a mob negotiation voluntarily? That I witnessed things I can't prove? Harper shook her head. It's over now. Morgan agreed to leave me alone. Adrian's handling the rest. Adrian's handling it. Listen to yourself. You're talking about a criminal like he's your boyfriend. He's not my boyfriend. But you want him to be. Vanessa said it gently. I can see it on your face. You care about him. I don't know what I feel. That's why I'm here. I need you to tell me I'm insane for even considering staying in his life. You're insane for considering staying in his life. Vanessa didn't hesitate. Harper, this man is dangerous. He lives in a world where people get hurt, where you got hurt, or almost did. How is that a foundation for a relationship? It's not. I know it's not. Harper pulled her knees to her chest. But when I thought he was dying, when Morgan said he was bleeding out in that warehouse, I didn't think about the danger or the violence. I just thought about how I couldn't let him die, how I needed to try to save him, even if it was stupid and reckless. That's trauma bonding. Maybe. Or maybe it's something real. Harper met her friend's eyes. I don't expect you to understand. I don't understand it myself. But I need you to support me while I figure it out. Can you do that? Vanessa was quiet for a long moment. I can support you, but I'm also going to tell you the truth. If he hurts you, if this world he lives in damages you in any way, I will personally destroy him. Rich and powerful and dangerous or not. Harper smiled despite everything. Deal. They spent the rest of the morning talking about normal things. Vanessa's job, mutual friends, anything that didn't involve violence or crime or impossible choices. It felt like coming up for air, and Harper needed it desperately. Around noon, she left Vanessa's and headed to the Wren Gallery. Marcus was there, arranging a new exhibit, and his face when he saw her was complicated. Harper, you're back. I'm back. I'm sorry for disappearing. Marcus set down the sculpture he'd been positioning. That man who came asking questions, and then you leaving with security. I put it together. Adrian Moretti. You know him. I know of him, and I know what it means that you're involved with him. Marcus's voice was careful. He's the reason I'm not still in Manhattan. The reason I run a small gallery instead of the empire I was building. He told me. About the guns. About the choice he gave you. Did he tell you he saved my life by giving me that choice? That the people I was working with would have killed me when the heat came down? Marcus moved closer. Adrian Moretti is a lot of things, Harper. Dangerous, violent, ruthless when he needs to be. But he's also fair. He keeps his word. And if he's protecting you, you're as safe as anyone can be in that world. You think I should stay with him? I think you should decide what you can live with and what you can't. But don't make the mistake of thinking he's just a monster. He's more complicated than that. Marcus returned to his sculpture. You're welcome back here any time, but if you need time to figure out your life, I understand. Harper spent the afternoon at the gallery, falling back into the familiar rhythm of work. It felt grounding, normal, like proof that she still existed outside of Adrian's dangerous world. But every time her phone buzzed, her regular phone, not the burner, her heart jumped, expecting bad news. None came. Just normal messages from normal people living normal lives. As evening approached, Harper found herself standing outside Adrian's building without consciously deciding to go there. The doorman recognized her now, waved her through without question. The elevator code still worked, and when she reached the penthouse, Adrian was there, sitting at his dining table with papers spread out, looking exhausted but alive. He looked up when she entered. You came back. I did. Harper set down her bag. I talked to Vanessa and Marcus, tried to figure out what I want. And? And I still don't have a clear answer. She moved to sit across from him. But I realized something today. When I was at the gallery doing normal things with normal people, all I could think about was whether you were okay, whether Morgan had changed his mind, whether someone was coming after you. That's just residual fear from last night. No, it's not. She reached across the table. It's caring about you despite knowing I probably shouldn't. It's wanting to be here even though here is complicated and dangerous and nothing like what I thought I wanted. Adrian took her hand carefully. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm not ready to commit to forever. I'm not ready to say I can handle your world long term, but I'm also not ready to walk away. Harper took a breath. So I want to try, really try, to see if this could work, if we could work. With conditions? With boundaries. I need you to promise me something. Anything. Don't shut me out when things get dangerous. Don't make decisions for me about my own safety without talking to me first. And don't ask me to accept violence as normal. I need you to at least try to find other solutions first. She squeezed his hand. Can you do that? I can try. But Harper, I can't promise I'll always succeed. There will be situations where violence is the only option, where keeping you safe means making hard choices fast. I know. And I'm not asking you to change who you are, just to include me in the process, to let me be a partner instead of someone you protect from a distance. You want to be part of my world. I want to be part of your life. There's a difference. She stood, moved around the table to where he sat. And I want you to be part of mine. The normal parts. The gallery, my friends, coffee in the morning, and arguments about nothing, and all the small things that make up a life beyond survival. Adrian pulled her into his lap carefully, mindful of his injuries. I don't know how to do normal. Then we'll figure it out together. Harper kissed him, gentle this time, without the desperation of last night. Starting with dinner, real dinner, like the one you cooked before everything went wrong. I'm not sure I'm up for cooking tonight. Then we order in, and we eat like normal people, and we pretend for a few hours that we're just two people who met at a party and decided to take a chance on each other. That's what we are, with some very dramatic complications. Harper smiled against his lips. But yeah, that's what we are. They ordered Italian, ridiculous amounts of pasta and wine that was probably too expensive for a random Thursday night. They ate at the dining table with the city spread out below them, talking about small things and carefully avoiding the big ones. And for the first time since that night at the Meridian, Harper felt like maybe this could actually work. After dinner, they migrated to the couch. Adrian pulled up a movie neither of them watched, too focused on each other, on the careful exploration of what this new understanding meant. Tell me something, Harper said, curled against his side. Something real. Something you've never told anyone else. Adrian was quiet for so long she thought he might not answer. Then, I'm tired. Of the violence, the constant vigilance, the game of power and territory. I've been doing this for 15 years, and every year it gets harder to remember why I started. Why did you start? Survival, protection. I grew up in a world where power was the only currency that mattered, and I learned early that you either take control or someone else controls you. He stared at the ceiling. But lately, I've been wondering what it would be like to walk away, to build something legitimate, something that doesn't require violence to maintain. Harper lifted her head to look at him. Are you serious? I don't know, maybe. It's just a thought I've been having more often. He met her eyes, especially since I met you, since I started wanting things beyond just survival. What things? A life, a real one. Mornings without checking for threats, nights without contingency plans, someone to share it all with who sees me as just a man instead of a walking arsenal. His hand moved to her face. You make me want things I thought I'd given up on. That's a lot of pressure to put on one person. I know. I'm not asking you to fix me or save me. I'm just telling you what you've made me realize. He pulled her closer. That maybe there's more to life than what I've been settling for. Harper kissed him, slow and deep, trying to communicate what words couldn't. That she saw him, really saw him, beyond the danger and the violence. That she wanted to believe in the possibility of something better for both of them. When they finally broke apart, Adrian's expression was soft in a way she'd never seen before. Stay tonight, and tomorrow night, and as many nights as you want, not because it's safer here or because Morgan is a threat, just because you want to. I want to. Harper settled back against him. But I need to keep some of my independence, my apartment, my job, my friends. I can't disappear into your world completely. I wouldn't want you to. That's part of what I love about you. You have a life outside of me. You're not just an accessory or a possession. You're entirely your own person who's choosing to share parts of your life with me. The word love hung between them, unacknowledged but present. Neither of them was ready to fully examine it yet, but it was there, growing in the spaces between conversation. They fell asleep on the couch, the movie long forgotten, wrapped around each other like they'd been doing this for years instead of days. And when Harper woke in the middle of the night, disoriented and briefly afraid, Adrian was awake too, his hand moving soothing circles on her back. Bad dream? Memory of the warehouse. Harper pressed closer. Does it get easier, processing something like that? Eventually, but it never goes away completely. His voice was quiet in the darkness. You learn to live with it, to integrate it into who you are without letting it define you. I don't want to be defined by violence. Then don't be. Be defined by your courage, by the choice to walk into danger for someone you cared about, by your strength in stopping me from becoming something worse. He kissed her forehead. You're not a victim, Harper. You're a survivor. There's a difference. She thought about that as sleep pulled at her again. Survivor. Someone who'd faced something terrible and come through it, changed, but not broken. Someone who could integrate the darkness without being consumed by it. The next few weeks fell into a rhythm that felt almost normal. Harper split her time between her apartment and Adrian's penthouse, maintaining her independence while building something new with him. She went back to work at the gallery, reconnected with friends, slowly rebuilt the parts of her life that had been disrupted. Adrian kept his promise. He included her in decisions, talked through situations before acting, and genuinely tried to find solutions that didn't involve violence. It didn't always work. His world was what it was, but the effort meant everything. They had their first real fight 3 weeks in, about Adrian making a business deal without consulting her even though it affected their plans for the weekend. Harper accused him of reverting to his controlling ways. Adrian pointed out that his business was separate from their relationship. They both said things they regretted, and Harper left his penthouse convinced it was over. She made it 2 hours before going back, finding Adrian on the terrace, looking miserable. I'm sorry, they said simultaneously. The apologies tumbled out. His for not communicating better, hers for expecting him to change overnight. They talked until sunrise, establishing better boundaries, learning how to navigate the complicated intersection of his dangerous world and their growing relationship. It wasn't perfect. It was messy and complicated and sometimes scary, but it was real. 2 months after that night at the Meridian, Adrian took Harper to a construction site in Queens. She had no idea why until he explained that he'd bought the property and was converting it into a community center for kids who grow up like I did, who need options beyond crime and violence. He stood beside her, watching workers frame out walls. It's a start toward something legitimate, something that helps instead of harms. Harper took his hand. You're serious about this, about changing. I'm serious about building a life that's more than just survival, and I'm serious about you being part of it. He turned to face her. I know it's only been 2 months. I know that's not enough time to be sure about anything, but I need you to know you changed my life. You made me want to be better, and I'm going to keep trying to be the man you saw in me, even when I couldn't see it myself. You're going to make me cry in front of construction workers. I can live with that. He pulled her close. I love you, Harper Blake. I'm in love with you, and I know I'm supposed to wait longer to say it, to build up to it, but I've never been good at following rules. So there it is. I love you. Harper felt tears spilling over despite her attempt to hold them back. You're an idiot. I'm aware. A dangerous, frustrating, sometimes controlling idiot who makes terrible jokes and has the worst timing. She kissed him. And I love you too, despite all of it, because of all of it. I love you. They stood there in the half-built community center, holding each other, both damaged and healing and choosing to build something new together. It wasn't the ending Harper had expected when she'd walked into the Meridian and insulted a room full of rich men. It was messier, more complicated, more real. 6 months later, Harper moved into the penthouse officially. Not because she was afraid or needed protection, but because she wanted to wake up next to Adrian every morning. Because she'd learned that home wasn't a place. It was a person who saw you completely and chose you anyway. A year after that, Adrian transferred most of his dangerous business to trusted associates and focused on legitimate ventures. The community center opened with programs for at-risk youth, job training, mentorship. It didn't erase his past, but it built toward a better future. And through it all, Harper stayed. Not as a possession or an accessory or someone who needed protecting, but as a partner who'd walked into his dangerous world and helped him find a way towards something better. The bet they'd made that night at the Meridian was long forgotten. Harper had been proven wrong about men like Adrian, or at least about this one man. He wasn't incapable of connection. He wasn't just power and empty promises. He was complicated and flawed and sometimes still dangerous, but he was also capable of change. of love, of building a life that mattered. On a quiet Sunday morning, 2 years after they met, Harper and Adrian stood on the penthouse terrace with coffee, watching the city wake up below them. The world was still complicated, still sometimes dangerous, but they'd found a way to navigate it together. "Do you ever regret it?" Adrian asked. "That night at the Meridian, making that bet?" Harper thought about everything that had come after, the fear, the violence, the impossible choices. But she also thought about the man standing beside her, the life they'd built, the person she'd become through it all. "No, I don't regret it." She leaned against him. "It was the best stupid decision I ever made." "Even knowing where it would lead?" "Especially knowing where it would lead." She kissed him. "Because it led here. To this. To us." Adrian pulled her close, and they stood there as the sun climbed higher, two people who'd found each other in the most unlikely circumstances and chosen to stay despite everything. The game that had started with "wanna bet" had ended with something neither of them expected, a real partnership built on honesty, trust, and the willingness to see each other's flaws and choose love anyway. Harper had been wrong about Adrian Moretti. He wasn't like the other rich, powerful men she'd dismissed. He was something else entirely. Someone who'd proven that even in a world of violence and danger, genuine connection was possible. That people could change. That love could exist in complicated circumstances. And Adrian had been wrong too. He'd thought he was just proving a point, winning a bet, showing off his ability to challenge and charm. But what he'd found instead was someone who made him want to be better. Someone who saw his humanity even when he forgot it himself. Someone worth building a life for instead of just surviving. They'd both won, in the end. Not the bet. That was meaningless. But something far more valuable. They'd found each other. They'd found home. And that was worth every difficult moment along the way. As Manhattan spread out below them, beautiful and terrible and endlessly complicated, Harper and Adrian held each other and knew they'd made the right choice. To take the risk. To stay. To love despite the odds. It wasn't perfect. It never would be. But it was theirs, built together, chosen deliberately, and that made it everything.